Okay, hi guys, Mr. Who's the Boss here, and in this video we're going to be comparing Modern Combat 5 on Android with Killzone Mercenary on the PlayStation Vita. Now both of these games are probably the best looking and most realistic shooters on their respective platforms, so we'll be sort of seeing how the gaming experience compares. So we'll be looking at graphics, sound, game design, and just general level of fun. So to start with, how the game looks. Well, Modern Combat 5 is absolutely glorious. It really does not look like Android games we've come to know. You know, if you compare this to the shooters we were seeing a few years ago, it's just, it's unbelievable, but it's on the same platform. I mean, Android is expanding so rapidly, and this game looks incredible. It's running at native resolution, as you can see, and it looks just like a console game. It's got really impressive lighting, really impressive shaders. I mean, some of the textures are still very basic, but nonetheless, it's very impressive to look at. So then we have Killzone Mercenary, and even though it's running at about half the resolution of Modern Combat 5, it's looking just as sharp, if not sharper, simply because, Modern Combat 5 is using a lot of soft filter effects for some reason, and yeah, that kind of smooths things out, but at the same time makes it look less sharp. But yeah, I mean, both of these games, you can tell there's some really impressive console level effects going on. There's a lot of reflections. If you actually look at these sort of floors, for example, you can actually see a lot of the lights coming back at you. On top of that, there's depth of field, flare effects, explosions, and all that good stuff. So yeah, it's pretty enjoyable visually. But I'd say in summary that due to the higher frame rate, higher resolution, and brighter colour palette, Modern Combat 5 does take the lead in terms of visuals. Now both games actually have pretty decent audio. I mean, neither of them is going to blow you away. This is no The Last of Us or anything like that. But they've got powerful sounding guns, lots of explosions, and they're not just sort of reusing the same sounds again and again. There's actually plenty of variation. Now one of the things that puts the Vita very far in front is the controls. So being an Android game, Modern Combat 5 is always going to have difficulty with the controls. And I think that no matter how good the game looks, it's still going to be held back by touchscreen controls. And I think that the only way to really properly enjoy the game is with either Bluetooth controller or an Nvidia Shield, or even the Shield tablet, now that's out. I found the on-screen controls fiddly and pretty uncomfortable to use unless you're using a large 7 or 10-inch tablet. Now one of the other things that follows on from this is the difficulty. So if a game like this is made to use the touchscreen controls, it means that the difficulty really does have to be toned down, because you're not going to have the same level of reflex. Your Twitch-based gameplay is going to be severely hindered by the on-screen controls, which means that the game is actually made from the ground up to be easy. I mean, if you actually tried to play a mobile game with a full console grade controller, you're just going to walk straight through it. So for example, in the whole time I filmed this video, I didn't die once in Modern Combat 5, but I died 4 times in Killzone Mercenary. And that just goes to show that, yeah, I mean, there's more to it than just the way the game looks and feels. So one thing I found kind of interesting is that Modern Combat 5 seems to have taken a page from Killzone Mercenary's book, in that you have XP and you gain EXP by doing, completing missions, killing enemies, that kind of thing. And it's all synchronized throughout the single player and the multiplayer, so it feels like one conclusive experience. And it's a very good thing because it makes everything you do feel much more rewarding, and you feel like you're working towards a common goal. So as well as the single player, Modern Combat 5 also has Spec Ops Missions, very similar to Modern Warfare 2 kind of thing, and also a very, very surprisingly complete online multiplayer. I was pretty impressed. I mean, there's a lot of maps to go on, there's lots of things to unlock, and it's actually really, really fun, so yeah, I was happy. And in a way, this kind of trumps Killzone Mercenary, because aside from the campaign, there's only the online multiplayer. It doesn't have any sort of Spec Ops mission. But I suppose, for Killzone Mercenary, there are sort of sub-missions, which is basically sort of, you go back into missions you've already completed with special objectives. And that is still fun, but I guess it's just kind of reusing what they've already made. It's not exactly new content as such. But yeah, the online multiplayer in Killzone Mercenary is still very, very good. I'm extremely happy with it, and I would say that in conclusion, the Killzone Mercenary experience is slightly better. I mean, there are things supporting both sides, but just the fact that you have the controls, I think it makes more difference than people think.